Out of these 13 interviews, I've been rejected only once, that too in TCS Digital.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Learning Bridge. I hope you guys are doing good and staying safe. So guys, आज है Saturday and as usual we are back again with a very fresh interview experience. एंड थंबनेल से गाइस आपको क्लियर होगा कि इस वीडियो में हम कौन सी कंपनी के इंटरव्यू एक्सपीरियंस के बारे में बात करेंगे एंड दैट इज Amazon. एंड इस वीडियो में हमारे साथ अपना इंटरव्यू एक्सपीरियंस शेयर करने के लिए द वेरी टैलेंटेड रिद्धि दत्ता. आप में से बहुत सारे लोग होंगे जो उनको लिंक्डइन या इंस्टाग्राम पे फॉलो करते होंगे. वो अपने पोस्ट के थ्रू भी लोगों को बहुत मोटिवेट करते रहते हैं. एंड गाइस उनकी जर्नी अमेजोन तक के लिए बहुत ही ज्यादा इंस्पायरिंग रही है क्योंकि उनका बैकग्राउंड वैसा नहीं रहा. एंड जो सबसे कॉमन चीज होती है मोस्ट ऑफ द स्टूडेंट्स एंड इंजीनियर्स के साथ की ड्रीम कॉलेजेस लाइक IITs NITs में नहीं जा पाए, बहुत नॉर्मल कॉलेज से पढ़ाई करके निकले, बट स्टिल जो हसल उन्होंने करी है अमेजोन तक पहुंचने के लिए वो सारा कुछ इसमें उन्होंने शेयर करा है. एंड केवल अमेजोन ही नहीं, लाइक एक से एक प्रोडक्ट बेस्ड कंपनीज उन्होंने क्रैक करी हैं लाइक जस्टपे, डिलीवरी, आरसीजियम, इस तरीके की जानी मानी कंपनीज से ऑफर उठाए उन्होंने. तो बहुत ही ज़्यादा इंटरेस्टिंग होगा आप लोगों के लिए एंड जो भी ऐसे बंदे जिनको डिफिकल्टी हो रही है अमेजोन के प्रोसेस को जानने में एंड स्ट्रेटेजीज एंड टिप्स जानने के बारे में जो कि एक बंदा फॉलो करता है टू क्रैक दीज प्रोडक्ट बेस्ड कंपनी. तो अगर ऐसा कुछ फील कर रहे हो, फेस कर रहे हो आप, तो डेफिनेटली वीडियो को एंड तक देखना, उनके सारे आंसर्स एंड एडवाइसेस को सुनना. That will help you definitely. तो गाइस इस वीडियो में उन्होंने सारा एक्सपीरियंस हमारे साथ शेयर करा है कि कैसे उनको इन प्रोडक्ट बेस्ड कंपनीज में अपॉर्चुनिटी मिली, कैसे अप्लाई करा उन्होंने, एंड मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट क्या एक पूरा इंटरव्यू प्रोसेस होता है फॉर SD1 इन Amazon. हर एक राउंड के बारे में क्या क्वेश्चन टॉपिक्स एंड इंपॉर्टेंट टिप्स टू क्रैक मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट राउंड्स लाइक बार रेजर एंड हायरिंग मैनेजर. सो ये सारी चीजें उन्होंने बताई अपने इंटरव्यू एक्सपीरियंस के बेसिस पे. सो डेफिनेटली सुनना, वो सारी चीजें हेल्प करेगी आपको प्रिपेयर करने के लिए फॉर Amazon. एंड अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट पूरी स्ट्रैटेजीज, रिसोर्सेज एंड क्या चैलेंजेस हुए हैं उनको नॉर्मल कॉलेज से निकलने के बाद एंड सर्विस बेस्ड कंपनी में ज्वाइन करने के बाद अलॉन्ग विद द जॉब कैसे प्रिपेयर करा उन्होंने इन प्रोडक्ट बेस्ड कंपनीज के लिए. बहुत कुछ है सुनने के लिए इस इंटरव्यू एक्सपीरियंस में, तो देखना एंड तक गाइस. एंड अच्छा लगे तो लाइक जरूर कर देना क्योंकि लाइक करोगे वीडियो को तो वो वाइडर ऑडियंस तक पहुंचेगी एंड और भी लोगों को बेनिफिट होगा. तो यार लाइक करना मत भूलना एंड नए हो चैनल पे तो सब्सक्राइब करके नोटिफिकेशन आइकन जरूर दबा देना. ऐसे ही अपडेट्स आते रहेंगे. एंड कुछ भी हो इस वीडियो के बारे में थॉट्स तो पुट इट इन द कमेंट सेक्शन. तो फटाफट चलते हैं सेशन की तरफ. Hi Riddhi, welcome to my channel. First of all, thank you very much for taking your time out for this session. Let's quickly start with our question hour part. So first, I would ask you to quickly introduce yourself.
Hi Shashank, first of all, thank you for having me over here. So let's give a bit of introduction about myself first. So I have done my BTech in Computer Science from University of Engineering and Management, Kolkata, and I've passed out very recently, last year in 2019. I was working for EPAM Systems for the past 1 year as a backend developer. Currently, I'm working for Arcesium, which is also a part of the D-Shop group and which deals with post-trade technologies mostly. I'm working for the Treasury R&D team as a full-stack developer. Also, recently I got an offer from Amazon Alexa team, and I will be joining there sometime in December as an SD1. So
okay, Riddhi, so you have interviewed and even grabbed the offer from well-known product-based companies like JustPay, Arcesium, and now Amazon. So being from a service-based company, how did you get the interview opportunity with such wonderful product-based companies, and how did you apply for that?
So for JustPay, there was a contest that was going on Hacker Earth, and there were 3 coding questions that were to be solved in Hacker Earth, and I solved 3 of them, and I got a call from the recruiter, and then I just got an offer from JustPay by going to the normal interview process. For Amazon, the recruiter got in touch with me, and for the other companies, it was mostly through referral actually.
Okay, Riddhi, so this is the most important question of the entire session. So tell our viewers about the complete interview process of Amazon for SD1 role, like how many rounds will be there, what type of questions will be there, and some secret sauces to crack important rounds like bar raiser and hiring manager round.
For Amazon, for a software development engineer 1 position, there are normally 5 rounds that you have to go through after the recruiter has shortlisted you. First is the online coding round, which happened over AMCAT. So there were 2 coding questions to be solved. I solved both of them, and it was fairly, I will say, on the easy medium side. And after that, there was one section in the online coding round where there were 15 minutes allotted, and you have to discuss the approaches for both the questions, right? And where you have to mention the time complexity, space complexity, and what approach you took to solve that problem. And after that, there were some behavioral type of questions. I got a call from the recruiter after 2 days of the online coding. Sometimes it may vary. Like for me, it was 2 days that I have cleared the online coding round, and they want to interview me for 2 more rounds. And if I clear those 2 more rounds, then there will be again 2 more rounds of managerial interview. That was scheduled after 1 week. In the first 2 technical rounds, 4 DSLV questions were asked, two in each round, and I was expected to solve both the questions, like all the questions actually, in the most optimal manner. Also, they were looking on a lot of other parameters as well, like how I'm naming my variables, is my code clean enough, or is my code production ready? Also, is my code passing all the edge test cases? How I'm handling the edge test cases or not? So they were very skeptical about all these things. Each round was a 1 hour. First, they will ask you a question, then you may or may not come up with a brute force solution at first. That's totally on you. If you come up with a brute force solution, that's totally fine. Then the interviewer will ask you to optimize the solution. So you will think and you will optimize the solution. And if the interviewer thinks that your solution is good to go with, then he will ask you to code that solution. So you will code that solution out, and you will ensure that your code is passing all the edge cases. And see, the interviewers are interviewing a lot of candidates, so they know that for a particular question which edge cases the candidate can miss. So they're very experienced in that. So you have to be very careful while coding, and I ensure that I drive and my code against a lot of test cases, at least the edge cases that came to my mind. And after that, you submit to the interviewer, and if the interviewer is happy with your solution, then he will give you the next question. So these were the first 2 technical rounds. So immediately after the first 2 technical rounds were conducted, I got a call from the recruiter that I have been short selected for the next 2 rounds. That basically is the bar raiser and the hiring manager round. After a week of my first 2 technical interviews, my 4th round, that is my bar raiser round, happened. So bar raiser is a very important interview, because a bar raiser is a interviewer who is working in Amazon for the past for more than a decade. Actually, he's a very experienced person in Amazon. Interview went for, I think, 1 hour 30 minutes, and he was grilling me a lot on the projects that I have done, on my behavioral part as well. And also 2 DSLV questions were asked, which were again of medium difficulty level. So even in the first 2 technical rounds, the questions were mainly from medium difficulty level, like from DFS, VFS, dynamic programming, priority queue, and all these things. I could solve both the questions, and the interviewer was really happy with my style of coding. And yeah, so bar raiser for me really went well, and bar raiser is a very important interview for Amazon actually, because I've heard that bar raiser has the veto power, to reject a candidate. So after that, my hiring manager round happened. So in hiring manager, there were no DSLV questions asked this time around for a change. He mainly asked questions from projects, and also from computer science fundamental questions were asked, like from a little bit from operating system, from networking, a little bit from DBMS, also he asked some questions on Java OOPS, and a lot of questions, like you can't categorize an hiring managerial round question, because it depends on what you worked on and what you have mentioned in your CV, and it can range from anywhere. But one thing is for sure, that the interviewer will really deep this time into a project, since he's not asking any DSLV questions. So he will really dig deep into projects, into professional experience, and also he will ask you some behavioral questions as well. So that round also went for more than 1 hour. After 2 weeks, I got a call from the recruiter that have been selected for SD1 position, and I will be joining the Alexa team in Hyderabad.
Thanks, Riddhi, for sharing the complete interview process of Amazon for SD1 profile. I hope it will help our viewers. Now let's move on to the another important question, that is, like, from the very beginning, what was your preparation strategy for these product-based companies?
So, I have been doing competitive coding from my 6th semester, actually late 5th semester. So I have done a fairly bit of competitive coding actually, which I would say in a way really helped me to crack these interviews, because competitive coding develops a skill within you where you can solve unknown problems pretty fast. And also, I think that if you're doing competitive coding, the kind of interview questions that are normally being asked in Amazon and Microsoft are generally easier than the questions that are asked in competitive coding. Like, in competitive coding, there are topics like segment trees, lazy propagation, Fenwick tree, DP with mask, and there are a lot of other advanced topics that Amazon Microsoft doesn't ask, and they focus on the basic data structure and algorithms like dynamic programming, BFS, DFS, two pointers, and all these things. So I think when I started, solving questions for Amazon. First of all, I was from a tier 3 college, so these companies were a distant dream for me. But one day when I started solving some questions for Amazon and Microsoft, it is then I realized, yeah, even I can get into these companies because I can solve these questions. So yeah, a little bit of honing was required because obviously just solving those questions doesn't help. As I said, that there are a lot of other parameters that Amazon do judge you upon. After doing competitive coding for the past 6 months, I was mainly solving various problems from Geeks for Gigs and like company specific questions from from Microsoft, Amazon, and these companies. Yeah, so basically, this was my preparation strategy actually. Like, you have to solve more and more problems to feel confident, and make sure that you're solving questions that are normally asked in Microsoft, Amazon. But I will tell you one thing, that don't mug up the solutions, because at the end of the day you are not going to get all questions common. For me, I out of the 6 to 7 questions that are DS Algo questions that I was asked, I got one question common, and the rest of the 6 questions were not common to me. So I have to like think about the solution then and there and then solve it. So if you're going with a mindset that okay, like just like solving, like people in India have a mindset like let's solve previous year question and then go. So for Amazon, Microsoft, and these companies, like this definitely helps you to understand that what sort of questions to expect, but you can't bank on those questions and think that if I mark up the solutions, then I'm going to get those exact questions and I'm going to exactly like vomit the answers right over there or vomit the code over there. First of all, the interviewers are experienced enough. The moment you give them an optimized solution straight away, they will understand that this guy has seen this problem before, and he's either going to change the question or he's going to ask you a follow-up question which you haven't seen before, and I can guarantee you that, right? And you can only solve that problem if you have understood that problem really well. So not only solving the previous year asked question, but also to make sure that you're understanding each and every line, or like understanding the intuition that why solving this problem in a certain way. That is also very important. And since I said I was doing competitive coding, and I had this habit, to not see the solution. I would spend even 2 days, but I won't see the solution. I would always try to come up with the solution myself. I had that sort of persistence within me. So I remember the one question that I said, which I got common. So I got excited and I immediately came up with a solution, right? And the interviewer like immediately understood that I have seen this problem before. So what he did now, he started asking me a lot of follow-up questions, he started drilling me. So I would just suggest you guys, that those who are preparing for Amazon or aspiring to be at Amazon, Microsoft someday, is practice those previous, those the questions that are asked in Amazon, Microsoft as a reference only. But don't take it for granted that these questions are going to come, and even if they come, the interviewer will understand that you have faced this question before, and they're going to ask you a lot of follow-up questions, a lot of other questions as well. It's good to solve like those questions that are asked as a reference, but you have to build up this habit of problem solving. Yeah, that will help you in the long run. And also, like whenever you are solving any problem, if to start off with, you can just relax and just think about the problem, but later when you feel that you have reached a certain level, make sure that you are assigning a timer and solving that problem, because for each interview problem, generally in any company you go, you won't get, no interviewer will give you more than 30 minutes to solve that problem. So make sure you are solving that any problem, any interview problem within 20 to 30 minutes. If you are taking more time than that, then it's definitely not a good sign.
Thanks, Siddhi, for sharing that complete roadmap and the strategies you follow to prepare for these product-based companies. So my next question to you is, share some valuable resources with our viewers to prepare for problem solving, TSA and system designing.
So I also prepared for design questions actually, which I didn't mention. I only mentioned about data structure and algorithms. But for my current company, RC Xeon, they had 2 rounds of low-level design interview for me. Make sure that you are not targeting any specific company, because Amazon doesn't ask you design questions for SD1. But there are companies like RC Xeon or DShaw, they might ask you design questions. Even RC Xeon asked me a lot about Java as well. Just asked me about multi-threading. So be prepared with the things that are normally expected from a software engineer or an SD1 role if you are a fresher. Normally HLD is not asked for freshers. Normally, at least the big companies don't ask you that. LLD, yeah, it's asked. So basically, you have to, for design, I think you have to read a lot. You have to spend a bit of time, and you have to go through a lot of articles. You have to go through some designs of WhatsApp, Facebook, and of this legacy softwares that have been built. Because normally companies will ask you questions directly, like they will ask you design a WhatsApp, design a parking lot is a very common LLD questions, right? It's just, I think they are, I consider it as an hello world for low level design. For LLD, I normally prepared like this only. And for DSL, as I said, I was doing competitive coding. I did competitive coding on CodeChef. Also on HackerEarth, I solved a couple of questions on HackerRank. That's where I started my journey from. And if you're a beginner in competitive coding, I will ask you to start from HackerRank only, because the level is a little bit on the easier side. You can also do CodeChef Long Challenge, which is a 10-day long challenge, and I started off from there actually. And because in long challenge you get a lot of time to think about a particular problem, and more importantly, say if you don't know a concept, you can learn that concept, and then you can apply that concept and solve that problem. So if you're starting off, I think CodeChef Long Challenge really helps you. Also, there are short contests which you should must give. I think there are the cook off and the lunchtime. These are the two challenges I think you must give. Also, there are some short contests going in Code Forces. Apart from competitive coding, if you want to solve company specific questions, I think there is InterviewBit. It's a lovely platform, I think, where you can get topic wise questions as well as company specific questions. There is also Geeks for Geeks. So mainly I use these two platforms. Also, there is LeetCode. You can go and check out LeetCode as well. Yeah, I think these are the three main platforms for solving interview based problems. And for competitive coding, I think there are like tons of platforms like Spodge, Code Forces, CodeChef, HackerRank, HackerEarth, Top Coder, and a lot of other platforms are there. So you can go and check.
So most of the time people find it difficult to prepare for job switch along with their current job. So I would like to know it from you that how did you manage it?
It was tough. I won't say it was easy, but where there is a will, there is a way, and I have always wanted to work for these product-based companies actually. Because before sleeping at night, I used to go to this interview experiences of Amazon, Microsoft, and all these product-based companies, and I used to feel like even I can solve this question. Like it's not that I used to get really intimidated by seeing the questions, and I felt that no, I can't solve these problems. These companies are not for me. Not like that. I really felt I can get into these companies. I also enjoyed the journey. Right? It's not that I'm not enjoying what I'm doing and just wanting this phase to end. Even I now also go, even after getting to Amazon, also getting into these companies, I still go and practice coding. So it's something that we really love, enjoy, and then I think it won't feel much of a hard work actually. But yeah, I mean, managing office hours, like you will have tasks assigned to you, and doing that, and then devoting your leisure time to these kind of problem solving stuffs and preparation is sometimes can take a toll on you. But like you have to do this. There's no option if you want to get something in life actually. But I also used to take breaks as well sometimes. So consistency is very important. I think that is also one thing that I forgot to mention actually. I think you have to be very consistent with your problem solving, because these skills are not developed in a day. It takes time. So let's say if someone is starting off today and he's thinking that I'm not able to solve this problem, or this problem I won't be able to solve this problem ever. The same guy can solve that problem within 5 minutes after 1 month of consistent practice. So consistency is very important. I would rather ask you to solve one problem a day, but make sure you're solving one problem every day rather than solving 5 problems in a day and then having a break for 5 days and then again solve. So consistency is very important. Having patience is very important, and obviously enjoying the process is very important. I mean, that's very generic actually, not only for coding.
Okay, this so you are passed out from a normal institute and got a very normal start of your IT career. After that, did you ever think that you won't be able to crack these tech giants? Because most of the time people coming from such backgrounds has this concern that tech giants are very far from their reach.
That once I went through these interview questions, like these companies, I always felt that and I used to do competitive coding, so it kind of, most of the questions felt easy to me. So I thought that yeah, I can even crack this. It's not something that is totally out of the league for me, and I was very confident given a chance. And I had seen a couple of my good seniors, not from my college but from other college, who have gone into these companies like Microsoft and Google and all these companies, and they were also good competitive coders as well. I'm not saying competitive coding is necessary to get into these companies, but it's always good for a start if you're a good competitive coder. I have taken inspiration from them and also felt that okay, these guys have gone, then even I can do it. So I kind of took inspiration from them as well, and that kept me going. And I think companies have started to hire off campus a bit more than they were doing 5 years earlier. And like this tier 1, tier 2 colleges, yeah, it still exists. I won't say it is. I mean, obviously the companies visit on campus, which is not something that we get actually from a tier 3 college. I had the confidence and had the belief somewhere I will get a chance, and given a chance I will crack it. So it's very important that you be prepared, because when you are from a tier 3 college, what happens, I think, in a tier 1 or tier 2 college, that these companies are going to visit your campus, so you are very sure about that. So all you have to do, you have to prepare for those companies. But for us, the situation is slightly different, because we don't even know that when these companies are coming, are they even coming or not, right? And let's say we are preparing with the motivation that, okay, we are going to crack these companies, right? And after 3 to 4 months of preparation, I feel I'm well prepared, but I'm not getting chance. I leave the preparation. I feel that, okay, I think it's a wastage of time. Let's do something else, because it's not realistic. It doesn't seem realistic that these companies are going to actually give me a chance. And then suddenly after 2 months you get a call from nowhere, and now you're not prepared. So what I made sure is that as I said, consistency is very important. You have to be consistent, and you have to be in that zone. So whenever, because these companies can call you anytime, right? And normally these companies get in touch with you if they find your profile suitable. Once they get in touch with you, and you have to grab that opportunity, because you are from a tier 3 college. You won't get opportunities every day knocking at your door. So whenever that opportunity comes, you have to be prepared. I mean, there is no second way to it. So yeah, that is something I ensure that I'm prepared whenever this opportunity. Also, I feel if you're in a tier 3 college, like, people often blame their placement department and all for not bringing in good companies. What I feel is very important that, see, it's your fault that you have gone into into a tier 3 college. It's because you couldn't do well in the JEEs, right? But that doesn't end your journey, first of all. Also, what is important, instead of playing the blame game, that the time that you are spending on playing the blame game, I think it's very important, utilize that time to prepare yourself, right? Because at the end of the day, it's nobody forced you to get into those colleges, right? I've seen a lot of my juniors who start playing the blame game, that what will I do? I like, no companies are going to visit our campus. I don't feel like preparing and stuff like that. So if you really want those to get into those companies, if you're really interested, then start preparing, because I think that will be a better option. As I said, if you're prepared, I think if you have the skills, will eventually find its own way sooner or later.
Okay, Riddhi, so I will wrap up this session with one last and important question again, and that is, how do you deal with the rejections?
I don't think I'm an ideal candidate to answer this question, because I have given around 13 interviews so far. Out of these 13 interviews, I've been rejected only once, that too in TCS Digital. On that only rejection that I faced, I can tell you about my learnings, my experiences, is that, first of all, if the company is rejecting you, it doesn't mean that you are not good enough. It might happen that you're not meeting up to their business requirements, or you're not meeting to whatever they're looking for. That, but that doesn't mean in any way that you're not good enough. Also, it might also happen that you are not good enough for a certain skill which they were looking for. What you can do, let's say you get rejected by company X because you don't have that skill Y. So you can go and learn that skill Y, and who knows, that skill Y will help you in cracking a company Z, which is even better than company X. So I think instead of playing the blame game and brooding too much about your rejections, about your failures, it's very important to learn from those failures and be a better version of yourself, so that you can apply and get better job offers. That is something that I did. Even I was lucky enough not to be on the like rejected side. Actually, that one rejection, it really taught me a lot actually, and I would suggest others the same as well. Just don't play the blame game or do too much over it. Just like introspect actually, and see where it went all wrong, and then try to cover up the bases and then apply. I think I'm very sure that you guys will be successful as well if you do that.
Thank you so much, Riddhi, for sharing the wonderful experience and guiding our viewers. I hope your experience and tips will definitely help our viewers to prepare for Amazon and prepare for the product based companies, and I'm pretty sure they will be highly motivated after watching this entire session, and it will give them a push to chase their dreams. So thanks a lot, Riddhi, for coming on our channel. So that's it for today's video, guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video and the entire interview session with Riddhi Datta, and I hope it would have helped you to prepare your strategies. If you like this video, then hit the like button and share this video with your friends who are preparing for the product based companies. It will help them as well. And if you are new to the channel, then hit the subscribe button and stay updated with all the fresh interview experiences on eLearning Bridge. So let's meet on next Saturday with another fresh interview experience. Till then, just stay safe and take care of yourself.